Hello, this is day 4 of the challenge. Dan had a smoothie that I'd made him last night. So he had a tablespoon or 2 of porridge oats with some whole milk and a couple of tablespoons of Tim's Dairy Natural Yogurt and a couple of tablespoons of my dried apricot compote. I whisked that up in a stick blender and it sat overnight in the fridge to become nice and smooth and creamy and delicious, and he had that for his breakfast. And I've had some apricot compote and a couple of tablespoons of Tim's Dairy Yogurt for my breakfast. Our cleaner is here. I've written out some Avon brochures for the customers who haven't had the first brochure yet, which is full of the sale goodies, and I'm now going to make a beeswax candle. This is my little workspace in the utility. I've got a little electric hob there, and this is one of my beeswax dinner candles. I have enough wax in the pan if I top it up a little to make another of these. Well, it's lunchtime now. I've made a couple of candles. I played piano for an hour. The cats have just fed. I gave them some dark turkey meat that I defrosted, and now it's time for my lunch. I'm having a more lowly meal of sardines in tomato sauce on toast. You'll recall I bought 2 tins of sardines at the weekend, 2 for £1. I'm going to very lightly toast a couple of slices of my bread that I made at the weekend, so that's 8p. And then I will mash up the sardines, put them on the bread, and then finish them off in the microwave on the conventional oven setting for a few minutes or until they're nice and toasty. And I'm going to have that with a few salad leaves. The sardine in tomato sauce actually turned out to be sardines in oil. It was the red can that had me fooled, and I obviously didn't read the label on the top properly. I just assumed. Anyway, it's all mashed. The cats, Arthur and Merlin, have had a little bit as well. As soon as they smelt the sardine, they came racing through. I suppose if I wanted to, I could add some passata or maybe even some ketchup. But you know what? I'd rather add a few chilli flakes. It'll still taste delicious. If you wanted to drain the oil off, you could do. You could keep it aside for a salad, especially if you're doing yourself a fishy salad. It would be nice as a dressing on your salad. But I've mashed it all up and I'm going to butter the toast now and bung it in the oven. And look how tasty that looks. And it probably only cost about 65p at most. Doesn't that look delicious? I'm going to scoff this now and I'll see you in a while. The cats are wanting to help me with my lunch. I can smell the fish. Merlin nearly got his chops in one of the pieces of sardine toast. Cheeky boy. It's really yummy. Yes, didn't that sound lovely, folks? As you guessed it, I've been out doing a bit of train spotting, and now I'm going home for a cup of tea because I'm freezing. Well, I'm back from my bit of train spotting. I wasn't out that long. There's perhaps what you might call a stiff breeze or light wind, but it's really icy. The chill factor is, whoa, my hands are freezing. I had my gloves as well. It's really, really cold. So I'm back now and I'm going to make a comforting supper. Now I know it's only early, it's not long after 2. I'm expecting Dan back about 2:30. However, I want to make some stuffed cabbage leaves and it takes quite a while to prepare, so I thought I might as well get started. Stuffed cabbage leaves were really popular during the Second World War, when of course there was a lot of rationing, because it enabled you to make a good meal out of just a little bit of food. You might add a tiny bit of a bacon rasher or whatever else you had, but mostly it was vegetables. Now, stuffed cabbage leaves are also really popular in Ukraine and other areas of Eastern Europe. I'm going to be doing a little bit of a hybrid. My recipe is slightly different from the Ukrainian one in that I am not adding any grits to the filling or cornmeal, polenta to the filling. I'm using some rice and maybe a bit of carrot, onion, red pepper, whatever I have. And then when the cabbage leaves have been filled and rolled, they go in a large pan on the stove top and cook very gently with the lid on for a few hours or until nice and tender. The Second World War recipe tended to be made in the oven, and of course the oven usually only went on when you were doing a pudding as well, in order to save fuel. And with the way things are now, we need to be thinking more like that. So here we are, Carpathian Mountain people's food. This is my organic Savoy cabbage. I'm not sure how many cabbage leaves we will eat, since it's my supper tonight and Dan's supper tomorrow. He's back about 7:30 and I don't like eating that late. I'm having some chilli made with the leftover bean soup from last night, but I will have some cabbage leaves with it as well. So I'm going to cook up all the rice today and then let it cool quickly and put most of it in the fridge ready for my meal tomorrow night. There may even be enough to go with our supper on Friday night. Friday night we will be having a chickpea curry. I'm going to rinse these in cold running water and then put these leaves in a pan of salted water and cook them off for a few minutes. I want them reasonably tender but not very soft, because they're going to get some more cooking. So I really want these still a little bit al dente but pliable enough to roll with the filling in the middle. That will probably be enough. I'm going to chop this half onion reasonably finely. that in the cup. I'm also going to chop this carrot quite finely into dice. I also have a little bit of pepper as well. These I'm now going to fry off in a frying pan, just with a little bit of olive oil. I've added some pepper, a little salt and some dried thyme. Already it smells really good. I'm going to also add some crushed garlic. Here is the mixture. I'm going to leave that aside now to cool a bit, and then when the cabbage leaves are softening, I can drain them and rinse them through cold water to cool, and then we can start filling them and assembling them, and then they go on the hob for quite a wee while. I'm going to prep the pot. I'm putting in a bit of kindling just to line it. I'm also putting in some garden herbs and a few bay leaves. Now it's time to roll. So here's a cabbage leaf. I'm going to put a bit of the rice mixture in the middle, and then I'm going to fold the top over and the sides, and then roll. And that's the first one done. So we'll do another one. Roll over, and do it really tightly. That's the second one. Third one, you won't get a lot of filling in, especially if, like these, the cabbage leaves are on the delicate side. If they break, wrap them twice. That would be my advice. Just keep doing them until they're all filled. I have a portion here of rice for my supper tomorrow. And when that's cold, it'll go in the fridge. And I also have another 2 portions of rice. One will go in the freezer, and that one will be for our supper on Friday. And that was the equivalent of about 30 pence worth of rice. Bargain. The cabbage rolls are ready. They took probably about an hour because the pan isn't really full of them, but they look good. I can't wait to try one. This is my late afternoon amuse-bouche. Oh, that's nice. That's lovely. Dan will get most of these tomorrow night, along with some of the tomato pasta sauce. I still have a bit left. The pasta sauce will go really well with these. They're really delicious and so easy to make. Bit fiddly, but worth the effort. I'm going to get back and do some work now. I love all the flavours of the rice mixture. They're really tasty. This is quite an inexpensive recipe. You could make a really big batch and either have them on their own or with a sauce, like Dan will be getting tomorrow, or as a side dish. Yumbo. Well, it's almost time for my supper, but I'm going to make Dan's lunch for tomorrow. You'll recall I bought these medallions on Saturday from Farm Foods. Believe it or not, these 6 medallions, which weigh 200 grams, would represent the week's bacon ration for 2 people during the Second World War. There's not much there, is there? Well, I'm going to do probably 2 or 3 rashers of this for Dan's lunch tomorrow. I'm going to slice it thinly and fry it off in a pan, and then crack a couple of eggs and make him a small omelette. And with that, he'll have a salad. He's got a very long day tomorrow and he won't be back until at least 7:30. So I'm also going to send him out with the last of the chicken curry rice boxes that I made a few weeks ago. So I'll get that out of the freezer as well. So let's get started on his lunch for tomorrow. This is what's left and I'll put that in the fridge. He might like that for his breakfast at the weekend. I've also found a bit of chicken sausage meat as well. Our own chicken sausage meat. That was also in the freezer, just a bit left over. So I'm going to cook that off as well for him. I think he'll really enjoy this. So it's going to be lots of protein for him tomorrow. A nice meaty omelette and then his gorgeous chicken curry. I'm going to wash my hands and then get the pan on. That's cooking off nicely. It smells good. It's not a big omelette, but he's got a good portion of chicken and rice. With a salad, it'll be ample for him. I think I might also do him some overnight oats as well with some apricot compote. That's a really good meal for him and it'll keep him full for longer. That's the omelette all finished. I'll let that cool off before I add it to the salad. Doesn't that look good though? Well, the phone died on me, so I missed the filming of my supper, but it was basically leftovers from the fridge and the freezer and the pantry. There were a few little crackers lurking around in the pantry that needed eating up, and I had a little bit of cheese. There was a scrap of cheese. There was a small portion of chips as well in the freezer. We had them left over from when we had chips from the chippy at the weekend. And I had a few cabbage rolls with a bit of my tomato pasta sauce on. And now I'm going to have another cup of tea and then I'm going to bed. It's just gone 10 o'clock and I'm feeling really tired. So I'm going to sign off and I'll see you tomorrow for day 5. It's time to feed the cats. Night night all.